welcome this session. Today I am going to discuss with you another important session of our course unit, that is operational management. So today topic is job design. Today topic is job design, but this topic also is very vast topic. So therefore I would like to complete this topic under the with the two sessions, right? So therefore, first part I will do in this session in now. So in this session, I will cover the several learning outcomes. Remaining parts I will cover with next session of this same topic. So first, I would like to explain you learning outcomes. What are the learning outcomes today? In with this session, right? What are the learning outcomes I hope to cover within this session? That means after completing this first session, you should be able to explain job design and its importance, and explain job design techniques, and you should be able to explain work study and its important, and you should be able to describe or explain method study, what is the method study, and also you have to know about the work measurement. And final learning outcome, that is applying the job design concept to solve the practical problems. That part we will cover in the next session, right? So first, job design, right? What is job design mean? Our first subtopic is job design. So simply we can say job design is the allocation of specific work tasks. Allocation of specific work tasks to individual and groups. Then allocating jobs and tasks mean specifying the content, specifying the method, and specifying the relationship of job to satisfy technological and organizational requirement, as well as the personal need of job holders. So therefore, when we discussing about job design, it is important to know what are the key elements of job design. So that means to understand job design, it is helpful to identify some key elements and their relationship with job design process. Under the key elements, right? Of job design, right? Key elements of job design. Under that, first element is a task, right? A task. We know the task can be best defined as a piece of assigned work expected to be performed within a certain time. So job designers must strictly and thoroughly identify tasks that need completion. So therefore, first element is a task, right? We have to know what is the task. And first one is a task, right? The second element is motivation, right? Motivation. I think this also you know the meaning of that one. Anyway, I will explain to you in very brief. So motivation describes causes within the individual that account for the level, direction, and direction of effort expended to work, right? So individuals need to be compelled, excited, and fascinated to do their work. So managers should design job that motivates employees. So managers they have to keep it in their mind when they're designing their job. They have to consider the motivation of employees always. Right? Then third key element is resource allocation. Resource allocation. Right? Resource allocation. Resource allocation occurs when an organization decides to appropriate to allocation or appropriate to allocate certain resources to a specific job, a specific tasks facing in organization, right? In job design, it is necessary to identify and structure jobs in a way that use the company's resource effectively and efficiently manner. So appropriate resource allocation allows large organization to foster and develop innovation and their workforce and uh, through distribution. Another element of this job design is mm, reward system. Reward system. So reward system also play a big role in a job design. So reward system include compensation, bonus, job security, benefits, and other various reward method for employees. An outline or description of reward packages should be established when constructing job. That is also important element that any manager or any person have to know. Any person who are designing the job have to know these things. So anyway, likewise, just we can further explain the job design this way, right? Job design is the specification of contents, method, and relationship of jobs in order to satisfy technological and organizational requirement, as well as the social and personal requirement of the job holder. So its principles are always towards how the nature of the person's job affect their attitudes and behavior at work. Uh, behavior at work. Okay. So the aim of job design is to improve job satisfaction, to improve output, improve quality, and right reduce employee problems. That means the employee problems mean grievances, absenteeism, right? So therefore, the main aims of job design when designing job need to improve job satisfaction, right? And also improve the quality product and increase the efficient product, right? And reduce employee problems such as grievances and absenteeism. So this is about the job design. I think now you can very clearly explain what is the job design. So shall I move to the next learning outcome, that is explain job design techniques, right? So now we have to talk about the job design techniques, right? Design, job design techniques. Okay. So first, under the job design techniques, first we can identified as the job design technique, job rotation. Okay, job rotation. Job rotation. So what is job rotation? Job rotation is a job design method which is able to enhance motivation, develop workers' outlook, increase productivity, improve the organization's performance on various level by its multi-skilled workers, and provides new opportunities to improve the attitudes also, right? With this job rotation. So job rotation is also a process by which employees lately mobilize and serve their tasks in different organizational level. When an individual experiences different posts and responsibilities in an organization, ability increase to evaluate his capabilities in the organization. So job rotation is most important one when we designing the job. So we can understand, you have to understand that is job rotation is one technique for job design, right? And next one is like so the job second job design technique is job enlargement, right? Job enlargement. Right? So, as a simple, brief definition of job enlargement, we can say, or job enlargement as the process of allowing individual workers to determine their own phase, that means within limits, to serve as their own inspectors by giving them responsibility for quality control, to repair their own mistake, to be responsible for their own machine setup and their repair, and to attain choice of method. So I think you already learned these things under your the other subject, most probably management, right? Frederick Herzberg, right, referred to the addition of interrelated tasks as a horizontal job loading, right? I think I'm not going to discuss further or more about these things, because these parts also you covered under your under the management section, right? And one more job design techniques is job enrichment, right? Job enrichment. Okay? ENRICHMENT, okay? Enrichment. So, what is job enrichment, right? So also we know job enrichment increase the employees' autonomy over the planning of their own work. So job enrichment has the same motivational advantage of job enlargement. Okay, so however, it has the added benefit of granting workers autonomy, right? So we know that Frederick Herzberg viewed job enrichment as the vertical job loading because it also includes tasks uh, for tasks performed by someone at a higher level when planning and control are involved. A higher level where planning and control are involved. So these are the main job design techniques, right? So I think when reading or referring the books, right, you can get the additional more knowledge regarding these things, right? So because within this 1 hour we have to discuss another separate subtopics also, right? So then when I move into the next one, so the explain work study and its importance, right? So that is very important part in this job design, right? Work study. So what is then work study? So shall I go here, work study? So okay, work study. Right. What is work study mean? So anyway, we know in this production and operation managers, right? Always they prefer to do their tasks, do their work to improve their organization performance, right? So then for that, right, when they work into increasing, when they work in to increase their organizational performance, right? These things is very, very important because work study, generally we can say, basically we can say work study is a group of management technique, particularly method study and work measurement also, which have a specific reference to improving this performance, right? Especially human performance. And so we can move to the next later the other parts, right? Method study and work measurement, right? First, work study. So when we consider in the work study, it can be defined as a general term for those techniques, particularly method study and work measurement, right? Which are used to the examination of human work in all its context, in which lead systematically to the investigation of all the factors which affect the efficiency of the efficiency and efficiency of the organization, right, in order to effect improvement. So work study, okay. So work study involves observing the worker at work. Work study involves observing the worker at work, right? At work. Sorry. The methods used by the worker are observed and recorded. In a work measurement study, the time taken by the worker to carry out an operation is recorded, right? But these observations have a behavioral impact on the worker. So therefore, the worker associate such studies related to his productivity with the feeling of insecurity. Often the worker fears that if he or she is found to be inefficient, his service would be terminated. Right? So then he or she may therefore not perform according to his normal manner, but may work faster or slow than the normal does. So he or she may also adopt methods which are not routinely followed. And such observations will mislead the work study analysis, and it is effect to the or very it is very sometimes it's effect to badly in the worker behavior. So some in extreme cases, the worker union may even force the study to be cancelled, right? It is important that the worker are taken into confidence and uh, brief about the aim of the study. Need to brief about the aim of the study, its purpose, and how the analysis will conduct it, so that all are misgivings. All misgivings are put to rest. So workers must be assured that the study will not result in the loss of job. Right? Otherwise, they are not basing this work study method. Right? So, then work study is important section, right? Study is very important in organization, right? Because through that, right, we can observe our worker, how they do already assigned work to them. Okay, so this work method also in line with that work study, because method study, right? Method study also in line with that work study. So method study. Okay, so method study, as the name implies, is the study of way of doing things. Method, no, way of doing things. So it is then we can define as the systematic analysis and design of work method and systems through the application of innovative techniques to achieve improved utilization of resource, right? So another, I think this is the famous definition, right? Another definition. So the systematic recording and critical examination of existing and proposed way of doing work, we can understand as the method study. So, as the means of applying and developing easier and more effective method and reducing costs are always aim of the method study, right? So anyway, there is a process, right? The process of often described by its main step, method study. First one is select, right? We need in the method study, there is some steps in the method study process. First step is we have to select, right? What's the select? Select means the worker to be studied, right? That means the select means selection of a task to studied is a managerial responsibility. So analysis should be given a specific problem to study. Some of the indication of possible need to for work study are bottlenecks leading to long queue in work in process, right? Or delays, right? Why delays in the delivery or schedule, right? So unbalanced workflow. Okay, all these things we can select as the to study the method. Okay, so anyway, the cost benefit analysis should be carried out before a method study is undertaken, because the service likely to be achieved through the study should exceed the cost that will be incurred on the conduct of the study. So a study must not be undertaken for any task where there is any form of industrial unrest, as the workers will suspect in motives of the study. So once the task has been selected, once the job has been selected, all persons connected with the task must be informed of the study. All persons connected with that task, selected task, must be informed of the study, the reason for the study, and the benefits likely to accurate from its or accurate from it should be explained to them to overcome the psychological resistance to the study. So be careful when doing selecting. We have to do those things when we selecting as the first step of method study process. And next step in method study process is record, right? Record. So the after selection of the tasks to be studied, the next step to record. Okay. Second one is record. So record all the facts by direct observation. So a different method for recording are available, right? And the analyst should select the one that is most appropriate one. So, you know, when for the record, we can use the process chart, right? So process chart are the most commonly used recording technique. So there are there are main symbols used in the chart. What are that symbols? First, we can use the this symbol like circle to operation, right? This circle to record, we can use the process chart. In process chart, we have to use some symbols. Among those symbols, this circle symbol is most important one. It means operation, right? Operation. So when an operation is performed, the part, material, product or document is modified or changed, right? So in our process chart, to present that one, we can use this symbol. And another symbol is, you know, square symbol. Okay. So that is we use for the showing the inspection, right? So if we want in our process chart, we want to show the inspection, right? Then we use this symbol like circle, right? So it represents a verification of quantity or quality. Okay. And another one is, you know, this type circle, right? As a, is what we call is the triangle, no? Triangle. So we use this triangle to mention storage. Okay. So it represents retention of materials, product or documents, right? So as an example, documents filled in a fill-in cabinet. Okay. So another symbol that we can use this like arrow like this, right? Arrow. So that is we use to show the transport, right? Transport. So that transport, that symbol represent movement of workers, materials, movement of workers, movement of material, movement of product or documents from place to place, right? So, so as an example, material flowing on a conveyor belt, a worker moving to and from to tool store. For that, we can, to show this one in our chart, we can use this symbol. And another symbol like this shape, no? This shape like D. Delay, right? We use that symbol for show the delay. So delay occurs when the immediate performance of the next planned action cannot take place. So therefore, in our process chart, if you want to show this delay, we can use this symbol. Okay. So as an example, if the worker want to wait for the lift, so then that is the delay. Okay? So this is the one method to record, that is the process chart. In addition to that, we can use the flow process chart. Right? Flow process chart we can use to record things, right? So it is the diagrammatic presentation of all operations, inspections, movements, delay, and storage, right? which occur when a task is being carried out. So all the already we discussed symbols. 5 symbols given are also can be used to show the flow process start, right? And in addition to that, outline process start can be used to record, right? So multiple activity charts also you can use, right? And travel chart. So there are a lot of methods to use to record. And the next step of the method study is examine, right? Examine. So what is examine mean, right? Critical examine, right? Or critical examination. Third step, right? Examination, right? Critical, CRI, okay? Critical, right? Critical examination. So the record is critically examined and analyzed, that means. So normally the process of developing a new method goes hand in hand with the critical examination. So while it may appear that we should tackle delays to start with, this is not true. Often the any change or modification or even elimination of an operation will remove delays and movements. So the critical examination is carried out systematically through an integrative pattern, right? So in the critical examination, right? So the when we asking some questions, right? Some questions when we asking, so then we can understand what is the critical examination mean. So as an example, the when we asking what is being done, why is it being done? What else can be done, right? What should be done? So when we ask in this type of question, we can understand the purpose, right? What is the purpose? And also another question like, where is it being done? Why is it being done there? Where else can be done, right? Where should it be done? So when asking this question, we can understand the place also, right? So and also sequence, right? The flow. So that one we can understand when asking the task action like when it is being done, why is it being done then, when else can be done, right? When should it be done? So with these sections. And also another one is to in the critical examination, we can understand the who are the person, right? When we are asking who is doing it, right? Why is it he or she doing it? Who else can be done it, can do it, right? Who should be doing it? So when we are asking this type of question, we can understand who's the person have to be done that one. Okay. So therefore, so then similarly, we can so the critical examination leads to the understanding of the present system, right? And analysis shows the bottleneck within the system or activities where the improvement need or improvement is possible, right? So then those things in through the method study, right? We can in this method study process we can understand with this examination. And also in this process, another step is we have to another step is develop, right? Develop, that means improve way of doing something, right? Develop way of doing tasks. So the this step is to develop the new method of that is the 1 2 3 fourth one, no? Fourth step, shall I write in here? Fourth, develop. Okay. So the develop mean the new method of doing the task so that the productivity can be improved. This involves creative thinking on the part of the analysis. The process of development cannot be systematized. So it will depend on the experience and background of the analysis, right? The first two, when we that means the first we need to just get the clear understanding the what area, what development, right? What development we have to do, and next, what method may be involved, or maybe incorporate to incorporate to do these things, right? And sometimes after the new method is developed, it should be recorded in the same manner as the old method, and the two are to be compared, old and the new one, right? So all these things we have to do under the development steps, right? And not the final one. Next one is fifth one is install. That means new method should be installed, right? So the new method should be installed after approval, but we need to get the approval, right? So the method should be documented and first presented to the supervisor and the relevant management. The idea has to be sold and management and supervisors convenience or supervisors convinced, right, of its usefulness. So it should then be disseminated to workers. So implementing part is, we know, is not easy, right? Implementing the changes especially is not easy. So there will be some resistance to the changing of old tried to tested method, right? However inefficient they may be, so without goodwill, the best of method cannot succeed. At this stage, senior workers are to be involved so that they become committed to the change, right? So the training in a new method must be imparted to the workers, and the benefits should be pursued by them. So the new method will be willingly adopted only when the worker develops faith and confidence in it, right? After understanding those things. So install is the next step, right? And final step of the method study is maintain, right? That is very, very important one. Sixth one is maintain. So anyway, new method may regress into mixture of old practice and new practices unless it is ensured that the new method is not altered. So supervisors can play a large role in this part, right? In this situation, because they ensuring that the new method of follow through constant supervision and motivation of workers. If the new method is properly documented, it provides a guideline to the supervisors for control. The implementation of the new method may pose some practical problems and lead to some modification so that it can be practically implemented. So supervisors should document such changes and in consultation with the analyst modify the method if required. Okay, so work study is anyway a dynamic process with changes in technology and skills. Methods will have to be revised from time to time. To ensure high productivity. Okay, so this is another important section you have to, or important part you have to know very well. And what is next? Regard learning outcomes you have to know. Work study we done, right? And work method, right? Work method. What does this work method? Oh, sorry, method study. No, we discussed that one. No? Yes, we discussed method study, right? So then we have to move to the next one. That is work measurement, right? Work measurement. So that is very important part in the job design section, right? Work measurement. So what is work measurement? Work measurement. Work measurement. Work measurement, how we can define or explain? Hmm? Work measurement determines the work content in a task in terms of time. In terms of time, right? It is important to know how much time a task will take, so as to enable us to plan, scheduling and loading, and uh, determine the levels, right? So it's also enable us to set reasonable target for the worker and form a basis of comparison between work methods and performance of workers, right? Therefore, the work measurement, we know in work measurement involves the estimation of the amount of human effort needed for producing a unit of specified output from an operation. So the amount of time that is usually taken by a well-trained worker operating under normal working conditions to produce one unit of output is referred to as work stand, right? So operations managers use work stands when assigning work to employees, scheduling work in department, and evaluating employee performance. So managers use several different techniques to set work standards, right? So in this, under this work measurement part, right, you have to know what is the standard mean, right? So then, anyway, in this, right, in this is part also you have to know about the what is the time study, right? So this time study also very relevant to this part. So I will discuss later what is the time study, right? So anyway, work measurement is very important because when the time taken to complete any job is the time which is a, the time which a qualified worker, right? That is one with the physical or mental, right, skills, right? So would take if working without overextension throughout the normal period while applying himself or herself to the job, right? That is the more important thing we need to consider under the work measurement. So the definition assumes that the worker has the required knowledge, skill, attitudes, and other attributes necessary to carry out the particular job. The worker is expected to work without overextension, right, throughout the normal duration of his or her work period. So this may be, normally we know that, so generally we measuring that you use the 8-hour day or shift, right? or longer or a shorter period depending on the tasks being performed. Anyway, normally we use the 8 hour, but it is reduced, so maybe exceed depending on the what is the task, right? So there are various methods used for work measurement. Uh, they can be classified into the direct method, where actual observations are made of workers, and indirect method, where the times are calculated from available data, right? So the direct method commonly used are time study and actively sampling. So some of the indirect methods are synthetic times, right? Predetermined motion time system, and analytical estimation method, right? Time study is most commonly used method for this work measurement, right? To measure work, for the work measurement, we use the time study. So before moving to the time study, so there are some general steps of procedure that we can apply to measure the work for the work measurement, right? So first we can divide the job into the elements, right? First we can divide job into the elements. Divide job into elements, right? Next, we need to observe and record each element. Already we divided that. And any of the work measurement techniques. By using any techniques, right? I'm not going to write, that is wasting our time, okay? So please listen, right? So second step is observe and record each element. Already we divided elements, right? And any of the work measurement techniques, right? With any of the work measurement techniques. And thirdly, we need to set up unit time value. We need to set up unit time value by extending observed time into normal time for each unit. So this can be done by applying rating factor, right? So we will discuss this one is further when we discussing our practical example, right? So the fourth step is evaluate relaxation allowance, right? And at the same to the normal time for each element to get the work content, right? So then finally, ascertain the frequency of occurrence of each element in the job, then multiply the work content to it. So after that, total the times to reach the work content of the job, we can calculate it or we can understand. Okay. So these steps we can, there are 5 steps. Okay. We discussed 5 steps that we have to follow when doing work measurement. Okay. And anyway, right, this work measurement is very, very important one. So therefore, it is better to know what are the objectives of work measurement, right? So as the name implies, work measurement. Work measurement measure the time a task or series of tasks takes so that ineffective time can be differentiated from effective. So objective of work measurement are first the standardized efficient method for completing task. That is the main objective. With this work measurement, we can to standardize efficient method for completing tasks. We can identify this is the standardized efficient method can be applied to do the particular task. And second objective of the work measurement is it is realistic schedule and workforce requirements can be prepared by estimating the target time for each job. And also the one objective is analyzing alternative methods to compare performance time. It is also one objective. And preparation of a realistic schedule of work is also needed, and it is another objective. And identifying unnecessary activities related to career to reduce or eliminate them, how to do. It's also another important one, or we have to do that one, right? And also assist the organization of labor by comparing the actual performance delay. Another one is logical comparison can be made when alternative methods are compared based on their basic time, and also to standardize the efficient process of performing operations. And another objective is establish supervisory objectives and measures. Measure supervisor performance based on those objectives. And work measurement is used to determining machine effectiveness, right? So there are a lot of objectives, right? So anyway, we discuss no work measurement steps, right? So we discuss yes steps also, and we anyway these steps, right? Just I have explained to you the 5 main steps, right? Sometimes some managers or the board of managers, right? Management board apply in additional steps to measure their work, right? It's depend according to their own method, right? Sometimes. So because they identifying the number of times each element occurs in the job, right? So then they can apply the separate different method, right? And also when identifying the allowances, right? So what allowances, how much allowances have to do when the workers doing that job, right? So there's things they can apply with the sometimes with the more steps, right? So, however, measurement of work helps estimate labor cost also. Moreover, it provides the information on the estimation of tenders and assessment of deliveries schedule and the fixing of selling price, right? For that also this is important. And anyway, there are more benefits, right? More benefits of work measurement, right? So the organization determine whatever work programs, investment, and acquisitions achieve their objectives in work measurement. So anyhow, we know the good work measurement system has the several or more benefits, right? As an example, a better understanding of work measurement enable better control over work methods and process, and also work measurement evaluate the sustainables of the workforce assigned to an organization, and also good work measurement has a benefit as a good management system, because good management system reduce labor cost, increase productivity, and improve performance appraisals, planning, and scheduling, right? And also work measurement enable to development of the realistic work schedules through an accurate assessment of human work compared to plant capacity of production and maintenance planning. Okay. So further, moreover, detailed instructions are provided on how to prepare estimated selling price and delivery schedule of tenders. So this is the one result of the another result of the work measurement, right? And the effectiveness of work plan can be determined with that. Then prevents backlog of work, right? And so simplifies workforce planning through an analysis of actual and standard time. The cost and labor requirements of the future can be estimated with that. The purpose of this is to provide a framework for estimating and controlling labor costs. That is very, very important one. Advantage of the work measurement. Okay. So then finally, I would like to explain you right about the time study, because it is the time study is the most commonly used method, right? Is the commonly used method for work measurement, right? To measure the work, we use time study. So it is direct observation technique, right? Time studies, right? Time study. Time study. Okay, this is direct observation technique. The work is broken down into identifiable elements, and observer times the worker as he perform the work. The so you know, stopwatch can be used for timing the worker, right? Measuring the time. The worker may work faster or slower while he is being observed. In order to compensation for this, the observer rates the worker, right? So he mentally compares the observed worker with the qualified operator working at standard performance. So rating a worker is a difficult task, right? Not only is the speed of worker involved, but also the quality of the worker performed, as well as due to regard given to safety while performing the work. So the worker may be working just as fast as the worker with standard performance, but he or she may not be perform the work with the precision it requires. So alternatively, rating, right? The rating the worker is a specialist task, and only a properly trained work study analysis can rate workers. Otherwise, it's not be accurate, right? So the analysis is required to rate the worker in a real time and carry out the compensation mentally on multiply factors as explained before we, right? So the however, in for that different rating scales can be used, right? So but the one most commonly used rating a worker with standard performance as 100, right? That is the 100 standard one. So a worker who works slowly by 1/3 of rating is 70, and a worker who works faster by 1/3 is rating at 135. That is the general thing. So rating are not assessed in increment is smaller than 5 units, right? So the timing is adjusted to bring it in line with the worker whose rating is 100. So anyway, a number of observations are taken, and then average out as basing timing on one observation would lead to incorrect result. So since these are small observation and large the number of more accurate the result. So the exact number of observations to make or the sample size can be statistically determined, right? So however, there are another rules and requirements, right? We have to follow when we doing the time study. But in this session, right? So as we as I mentioned earlier, you okay, you have to know, just explain what is the job design, and explain the job design techniques, and you have to know the explain work study and its importance and what is the method study, and then you have to know how to how to describe work measurement. Okay, so then in our next session, right, in our next session we will discuss some practical problems, how to solve some practical problems with using, right, how to solve practical problems using or applying the concepts already we have known in this job designing section, the job designing topic. Okay, so then I will wind up, right, this part or this session, and final learning outcomes, right, this outcome we will discuss in our next session.